Welcome to the Reconnecting Roots Behind the Music podcast. My name is Mandy McCauley, your friendly neighborhood music supervisor. Joining me is Gabe McCauley, our TV show host, and my house bandmates, Dillon, Hodges, and Heidi Feek. Together we have conversations about the history and stories behind the songs we feature on our television show and Reconnecting Roots music albums, which you can find anywhere you can find an internet. Please enjoy.
Wabash Cannonball.
Sometimes people might say Wabash, but that would be incorrect.
Is that incorrect? I actually don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
I've always heard it pronounced Wabash.
Wabash.
Except for when Dillon
Wabash.
pronounced it Wabash when we were recording
It's
this.
got to be Wabash. Wabash does sound weird.
Hey, nonetheless, trains. That's what we're going to talk about today. And the song that you guys chose, the house band for Reconnecting Roots, Season 2, Wabash Cannonball, or Wabash, or Wabash.
Wabush.
So here we are again with music supervisor and a member of the house band, Mandy McCauley.
Hello, happy to be here.
All the way from Florence, Alabama, the Muscle Shoals area. We've got firekid.
Hello.
And today we're all of us are gonna get on board. We're gonna jump on that night train, the love train. Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that long train to Memphis.
Yes. Lots of train references. It is interesting how
Midnight trains, too.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I was thinking. Midnight train to Memphis. That's it.
yeah.
Or Georgia.
Long black train.
Or the downtown train.
There's a lot of train songs.
There really are.
A lot of, and then there's a type of song called a train song or a beat that's
Yeah.
like a.
Thanks, Johnny Cash.
Also, How to Train Your Dragon.
Oh,
Mm.
how about that?
A lot of people don't think about that one.
A lot of people don't.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. Actually, most, I think. Probably don't think of that when you're thinking about trains.
Pokemon Trainer. Yeah, also.
Yeah. So we're doing an episode on trains, and we're like, hey, guys, find a song that's relevant to this episode in the public domain, and what did you find out? What was there lurking in the public domain archives?
I actually think this was on the top of the list and made sense for picking it. There was a couple that we talked about. I think Gospel Train was one. I don't know. There's the Rock Island Line, like stuff like that. But this made sense because Dillon is such a wonderful flat picker. And he knew this one anyway, even though he couldn't pronounce it the way that most of us did. And I'm not going to say it's wrong.
I was just unconventional about it,
Yeah.
This made sense for us to do this one. May I bring in some history?
Oh, please do.
Please.
I was hoping you would.
Mm-hmm.
This is from past notes of just doing research. And here's an overall note. The history of this song is very confusing. The history of the Wabash Railroad is very, very confusing. These are the notes we have for when we did research on this song. And I'm going to just bring up some facts, okay? Wabash Cannonball is a folk song originally titled The Great Rock Island Route, attributed or written by J.A. Roff, and it was written in the 1880s. And the song was written as Wabash Cannonball in 1904 and is credited to William Kindt. Am I saying that correctly? Kindt.
If you get closer to the mic, it'll actually help the pronunciation.
It does. So then Wabash Cannonball has been recorded several times, with the earliest recording by an unknown country duo, Clark and Edens, in 1928. Other artists have covered Wabash Cannonball, including the Carter family in 1929, Roy Acuff in 1936, Bing Crosby in 1965, and Johnny Cash in 1966. While Wabash was the name of a railroad company beginning in the 1860s, no train was called Wabash Cannonball until 1950, having been inspired by the song. I'm almost done, you guys. Roy Acuff's rendition of Wabash Cannonball was the oldest song to make the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's list of top 500 songs that shaped rock.
Ooh.
Wabash Railroad took its name from the Wabash River, which largely encompasses the state of Indiana, stretching from Ohio to Illinois. Last one, guys. Native Americans called the river Wabaw. Okay, Dillon? Wabaw.
Oh.
Shiki, meaning pure white. And that's just an interesting thing to know. And maybe that's also the eternal melody of you were trying to say it correctly all along.
Yeah, maybe Dillon's connected.
Right.
Yeah, I'm a native to Alabama, so maybe I was tapped into that pronunciation.
I am pretty convinced that he's psychic.
Not working with a full deck.
This is just another reason.
Well, that's interesting, Mandy. It's a funny case of how a song was written about something that didn't exist, and so then they named something after it years later.
Mm-hmm.
It is the chicken or
like,
the egg, I suppose, kind of.
It's like the Tennessee Waltz. That it's a song about. It's a song about a song.
Yeah.
That didn't exist.
A song about a train that didn't exist, but did eventually exist.
Yeah.
Although at least the company
it was
did.
it was sci-fi, really. It inspired
kind
future
of.
technology.
It halfway existed. The company existed. They just hadn't. Which
They
was named after a
hadn't
river,
named a
which
train.
the Native Americans. I mean, it is fascinating how you just can continue finding like yet another layer and another layer and another layer where these names come from. Because I was wondering, Wabash, Wabash, where does that come from? And now we know.
Now
a river.
Mm-hmm. I've never seen that river. Sounds big.
Obviously, a song about a train is about a river. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah. I will say that it is interesting to me how trains do get kind of fun names. Like when we did for this particular episode, we went out to, it was actually a pretty fun trip. We went to Utah, Promontory Point or Summit or some, oh boy. Basically where the Golden Spike happened, where, the last pieces of track were laid. The East Coast and West Coast were both going at it, trying to like see who could lay as much track as possible, and then they met kind of in the middle there in Utah, and they laid the last spike in, the Golden Spike, to complete the Trans-Continental Railroad. And while we were there, it was for the 150th anniversary of that, so there was all kinds of train enthusiasts and trains that were like coming out to be on display. And so everybody that was real into the steamers, as they're called, or the foamers, I think they have some real weird names for the train enthusiasts that are into like steam engines and things like that. They were all excited about these trains, like the Big Boy, and they have names to these like a Cannonball or whatever. They have fun with that, So
The General.
Yeah, it's another train name.
And why not? I suppose we've always been
fun.
doing that. We do it with
People name boats funny things and horses
true.
funny things.
planes,
It's great.
horses, children. People name all kinds of funny things to funny stuff.
I will also say that I really love the original version that we are using for the vinyl. It's so cute.
Let's listen to it.
Yes, please.
Would you like to? Yeah. Would you like to say?
I cannot remember
anything?
who the person is, but they announce themselves at
Oh,
the
stop.
beginning of the recording, so you'll hear that.
That
All
does
right.
sound very cute.
It's real cute. And you can also hear she is singing, and then she's got some type of accompanist. Am I saying that correctly? With her, and they're kind of off, and you can hear a little subtlety in her voice of being a little bit frustrated with that.
Oh, yeah. I know that feeling.
Oh, that's killer. This is Vernie, Westfall.
There you go.
Wabash or Bosch Cannonball.
The title of this song is The Wabash Cannonball, Vernie Westfall. From the great Atlantic Ocean to the wide Pacific shore, to the green of Florida's mountains, to the westbound by the shore. She's tall and she's handsome, she's known quite well by all. She is the combination on the Wabash Cannonball. From to the jingle, to the rumble and the roar, rush glides along the woodland by the sea and by the shore. To the mighty rush of engines through the lonesome hobo's fall, we're riding through the jungles on the Wabash Cannonball. The eastern states are dandy, so all the people say, from New York to St. Louis and Chicago by the way. From the hills of Minnesota where the rippling waters flow, no change can be taken on the Wabash Cannonball. From to the jingle, to the rumble and the roar, rush glides along the woodland by the sea and by the shore. To the mighty rush of engines through the lonesome hobo's fall, we're riding through the jungles on the Wabash Cannonball. She came down from Birmingham one cold December day. We heard the people shout, we heard the people say, she's tall and she's handsome, she's known quite well by all. She is the combination of love. Oh, here's to Daddy Claxton, his name forever stands. He's long to be remembered in the state of Alabama. His early days all over and the curtains round him fall. He's riding home to glory on the Wabash Cannonball.
Mama Sauce works with people around the world to bring their print projects to life. They believe print still matters. They specialize in equipment like letterpresses, screen print press, and hot foil presses. They can also handle just about any other specialty finishing on their antique production equipment. That's why we chose Mama Sauce to print our vinyl jackets. And they look hot. You know, like hot sauce. Check out mamas-sauce.com for your print project. That's mamas-sauce.com. Isn't that so good?
That is so good.
I love it. It's so fun. It's like they didn't discuss when the new verse is gonna start.
She's just giving him a side eye every time.
Oh, you can hear it. She's like, catch up right now.
Vernie is obviously adding some beats in every now and then, which Carter family did all the time.
Yeah,
but
it's funny because that sounds like the kind of music that we just listen to just on our own for fun.
Unironically, we listen to
just
that
in the
music all
car.
time. But so it's totally a normal thing for those mountain types to add beats in bars sometimes in. But you have to be pretty familiar with someone to know when they do that.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a really sweet version. I loved it.
Mountain types. I didn't know that's what you called me, but that's good, Dillon. I don't mind it.
The Appalachian folk, which Heidi and I are technically, I guess.
Appalachian.
Yeah.
Not me.
Appalachian.
We're in the
Oh,
Appalachians.
you're a Florida woman.
Tiger King.
Yeah.
You're
full
I don't think Middle Tennessee is Appalachia, but our part of Alabama is actually.
Right.
I think Middle Tennessee is definitely
Middle
Appalachia.
Tennessee
I don't know if
Appalachia?
Alabama
I
is.
wouldn't
No,
say
our
Middle
part of Alabama
Tennessee,
is.
but East Tennessee for sure.
Yes.
I mean, technically, I suppose, I don't know. There is an interesting map to show like where all the subsets of regions, like not just the South, but they divide it into like even more categories, or like the Midwest or whatever.
Yeah.
Appalachian is definitely one of them. I'm from West Virginia originally, so I'm one of those mountain types.
Yeah. So I don't think Middle Tennessee is, but I do think the Tennessee Valley is where we are.
Did you guys read
maybe so.
Hillbilly Elegy?
No.
It helped me understand my husband a lot better.
Oh, thank you. Or to
interesting.
watch the Ron Howard adaptation.
I have not done that.
I have with Glenn Close. I
Did
believe.
you like it?
Yeah, I did actually.
And Amy Adams?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty good. Yeah.
But the author is not from the South, correct?
Well, he lived in Ohio, but which is borderline Appalachian Valley stuff, right? Like the Ohio Valley would have been part of that Appalachian, but then he came to Kentucky to visit his grandparents every year or something like that.
I see.
Something like that. So Kentucky, Ohio is kind of his experience.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
Trains.
the interesting.
I would love. I prefer trains to planes
Really.
as far as traveling goes. I wish we had tons of high-speed trains here.
Oh yeah, that would be so sick.
Mm-hmm. We're working on it.
I mean,
high-speed trains.
Ideally there'd be less cars and really just trains. And I watched a documentary. Other than yours, I watched a documentary on roads specifically, and the idea was that trains would have probably been better in the long run for America, because it would have kept people more concentrated, and like we wouldn't have taken and developed so much land, and the roads would have been for walking rather than cars, and we wouldn't have to take cars to get everywhere. Public transportation would be easier. There's just almost countless benefits to investing in rail as opposed to automotive infrastructure.
Yeah, it's complicated. I'm sure there were some vehicle manufacturers that were, really wanting those roads to work out. But I will say, now that all the infrastructure in place, that's the difficulty in making trains work, or at least a part of it, right? So,
right.
We got to visit Bright Line in Miami and ride a little high-speed rail from Fort Lauderdale to Miami, et cetera. And they're trying to expand to Orlando and then to Tampa. And it's complicated. So for them, it doesn't really make sense because they're a private rail, and to build all the new infrastructure to put rail in is not really feasible. So for their model to work, I believe they use existing track. So if there's places where you have existing track that they can kind of utilize, then they can kind of start making this model work. But because you really have to convince the American people to get back on a train. Like, we're just not, it's not something we're accustomed to. Well, and then there's the Hyperloop. So we're working on that action too, which would be pretty awesome if that ever works out. Because that's basically,
that's awesome.
Like, no resistance. Get inside this tube, suck out all the air, and just set it off, and it just.
Yeah, that's the dream.
That's awesome.
You're probably right that it is about like public opinion and just like getting Americans excited about it and seeing that it's maybe better in some ways. But I think to do that, you have to like literally make a Marvel movie about it, or like I said, make it look like a gun.
Yeah.
People don't have time to like care about.
Imagine a Marvel movie just about trains.
About the train. Yeah. I mean, there've been Marvel movies about sillier things for sure.
Or maybe get Keanu
that's a good
Reeves
idea.
on a train, put a bomb on it, and then like.
Yeah, you have to villainize cars.
Yeah, put the bomb on the car.
Yeah, so the
make
cars
people.
are
you have to
filled with bombs.
Yeah. People can hide you. Like, think about this. This is like there's a AI virus with the new chips that are in cars. Mm-hmm. A villain is able to like take over all the cars and like assume control over them, drive them themselves, and so people turn to rail and they see, oh my gosh, rail is so much safer. And then Railman comes, and he's like investing in infrastructure.
Okay, so anyway, let's get back to more pressing matters at hand, which is, funny enough, Dillon performs the new version, the reimagined version. But interestingly, he didn't reimagine anything. He played it just like the original recording, tried to mimic her voice. He even does the little introduction where he's like, hey, I'm Dillon Hodges, and this is Wabash Cannonball.
And I actually played guitar.
Yes.
Like the guitar player. And he got very angry at me.
That's...
I think... maybe I'll say this about every song, but I really love this version. I do. I
mean,
think
you
we
should.
crushed it. My favorite thing about it, and we can talk about it after a little bit as well, but I'm obsessed with Nick Drake, who is a folk artist, I think from the 70s. He died tragically, but he had this style of acoustic guitar, which is like he experimented with alternate tunings, and he played like really interesting fingerstyle parts, and it's folk music, but it feels like I don't know, progressive at the same time, but it also feels like the alternate tuning thing sometimes make it feel like almost like a weird clawhammer banjo thing that he's doing. But anyway, I was really inspired by his record Pink Moon, and some of the, 4 minor stuff that he does made me want to try that on Wabash Cannonball. And on top of that, we use like a bunch of mellotrons and stuff. Let me fix this camera and then I'll get it going.
While you fix that camera, I don't know if you remember this about the process, but you did not like this song for a long time. You had a lot of issues with it, trying to figure out what it was that bothered you about it. Do you remember this?
I do, yeah. And I'm trying to remember. I think ultimately, like, I do remember. I sort of remember what it was. I think I ended up just liking it about it in the end. Or the elements that I liked trumped the elements that were bothering me, because I think it feels like a happy song, like, Atlantic Ocean, Pacific, it's just kind of marching along, bouncing along. It feels almost silly how happy it sounds. So trying to create some tension there was hard, as it is always hard with like uppy old time folk music. But this one, in the sections that have like the minor refrain, I just think are so beautiful that it almost, like, in a good way, overshadows the rest of the song in a way that is separate from the happy parts, but it creates a tension within the arrangement more than, steady throughout the song.
I also like Dillon's guitar playing in this song. He gets to do his bluegrass flat picking thing, and I love it when we get to highlight that.
Agreed.
You guys want to hear it?
Please.
I know I do.
Atlantic Ocean, Pacific sails. She climbs the mountain, she rides the rails. Yeah, she's handsome, known by all. Wabash Cannonball, Wabash Cannonball. Hear the jingle, hear the roar, along the woodland and by the shore. Mighty engine, lonesome call, Wabash Cannonball, Wabash Cannonball. Atlantic Ocean, Pacific sails. She climbs the mountain, she rides the rails. Yeah, she's handsome, known by all. Wabash Cannonball, Wabash Cannonball, Wabash Cannonball, Wabash Cannonball.
I love when Mandy's harmony comes in there at the end.
Oh,
that
yeah.
third
Spooky.
part is just like, oh yes, that's what I've been waiting for.
Mm-hmm.
I like when we get all three get going.
I do too. And we made all of these, again, we haven't mentioned it on this one, but we recorded these at Willie Breeding Studio with our friend Willie. So we got to include another friend in what we do, which is the dream, to just be able to create art with our friends. Oh my goodness.
Nicely done. Folks, did you change the lyrics to this one from the original?
I think we did slightly. We took out a lot of lyrics, which was
Yeah.
the main thing. We kind of like cut the turn.
Yeah, it sounds
Just
like
said-
you kept
just said-
the main chorus and things like that, though, correct?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
We kept most of the melody. We didn't change much on this one, but like I said, we mostly just, instead of the full refrain, we just said Wabash Cannonball,
Yeah.
Wabash Cannonball.
And the chord structure is much different.
So it sounds like from
Yeah, that's true.
the original recording, this song really was just kind of a love song about a train. Just like, wow, we've made this cool invention where people can ride on this big old steam engine and go across the country in the mountains and from the coast. And so do you carry that same sentiment, or what does this song mean to you?
Well, I was just going to comment on that. I think it's interesting that someone would write a song about a new technology, because think about that now. Like, are you going to write a song that's like, iPhone, my iPhone,
Number
Yes.
14.
iPhone 14.
Yes,
It's just,
definitely
it's
people do.
absurd. Or internet, it's so amazing. Although, there are songs about the internet, obviously, but it's not like big famous,
Yeah.
like larger than life songs.
In fact,
like
Mandy
this one.
covered
But
Kip from Napoleon Dynamite in one of our...
That's true,
It's
I
a little
did.
hidden gem. I don't think we released it, actually, but...
yes.
I love technology.
Yep.
Not as much as you see.
Mhm.
Always
Exactly.
and forever. But anyway, back to the trains. Yeah, what does it mean to you, Dillon?
Well, I don't even think I've ever been on a train in my life.
Wow.
So I don't.
Really?
America.
I don't have any connection to trains at all. I'd like never even played a dining car. Like never even played like a dinner train or anything like that. I've played riverboats and stuff like that, but I've been on every other mode of transportation, I think. But yeah, no,
That's so
I have
sad.
I have literally no connection to trains at all, other than that they're in tons of the the material of my craft, which is bluegrass.
But
They're
yeah,
like,
you were saying this is
Amuse.
one of your favorite songs from this album, right? You just had such a fun time with it. So why does it connect to you if it's not so much about the topic
I
or
think
the lyric?
This might some would find this disappointing, but I don't care about lyrics almost at all. Like I know that sounds crazy, but I'm more inspired by melody and what is around the song. So I mean, this song was my first guitar that was ever given to me was a Regal 6-string, composite materials guitar, and my uncle was the one that gave it to me. And the day that he gave me the guitar, he took me, back in his room where he had the guitar, and he took it out and he played Wabash Cannonball on it, and then he gave me the guitar. So it's more of a sentimental flavor, a sentimental appeal that I feel towards this song in particular, more than any like of the lyrical content, and then the melody. And it felt like a vehicle, so to speak, to exercise my love of Nick Drake and his influence on me.
Nice. And there you have it, folks. Wabash Cannonball from Season 2, Reconnecting Roots. Join us again next week, next time, where we'll be talking about
Home on the Range, maybe?
Home on the Range, maybe.
You can visit reconnectingroots.com to buy our Season 2 vinyl. Side A has the old-timey recordings, and Side B has our reimagined versions of the same songs. You can also find out how to watch our show on real live TV or on the internets at reconnectingroots.com. Thanks for listening. And I guess to make it look like we have meaning in this world, you could like and subscribe or leave nice reviews wherever you're listening to this podcast. Apparently right now, that's what success is supposed to look like. You know what? Make your own choices. Maybe go outside and experience nature. Look a human in the eye and have a conversation. Like and subscribe to humans in front of your face. Invest in them the way we all invested in Bitcoin in 2021. Except your currency is your time and love. Go do that. Go out and love. That sounds better. Okay, see you next time. Bye.